Hello fellow crafty souls, welcome back to the channel. Today's card I will actually be casing this sympathy card I've made previously. So using that floral design in opposite corners, and today's card will feature the Amazing Things floral set from Ultra, and I will be stamping that in my Memento Tuxedo black ink with the coral red and the mid yellow fresh dye inks from Ultra, and that will all be going on to the front of a A2 4¼ 5½ inch card front, and I will be using my stamp wheel. So I'm just pointing out here that the aim of the game is to get it into opposite corners, and I'm just like, yeah, wherever, as long as it's like the diagonal opposite. So that will actually involve me turning my cardstock around doing a 180, not a 360, because it'll put it back to the same point. So I don't have anything to mark out and put my card into the middle of my stamp wheel, so I'm going to pop it into my top left hand corner. Big mistake. Picture Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman when she walks back into that clothing store and says, "Big mistake." Yeah, big mistake. And so I'm just using the acetate cover of the stamp sheet just to kind of get a bit of a position idea, and then I can pop my flower back on the corner. So I just wanted to, the aim was to hang it off a bit, just for it to look a little bit different. Here we are, just lining up the cross. So the cross is upright. So the whole goal of knowing that the cross is upright is to, as you're doing your turns, to make sure that you're getting it into the right position. So I've got the flip over down pat. It's more just the positioning of my stamps that I now have to learn. And you will see coming up shortly where I realized that I made a big mistake. So going through, and for these sorts of things I like using the Tuxedo black ink from Memento versus the VersaFine Onyx black ink. Because the Onyx black ink is actually a pigment dye, I'm a bad schmearer for that, and tonight I didn't really feel like heat setting. So I was happy with the crisp lines that I got from the Tuxedo black ink by Memento. And the great thing is with the stamp wheel, you can lift it, flip it, re-ink it, put it down, and it's not going anywhere. So far, that's a big tick for me, loving versus the Misty. Oh, do I dare say that out loud? Will this replace the Misty? Remains to be seen, but I'm a gadget kind of gal. I like to use a bit of everything, so maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, going through now and picking my layering stamp, and I'm just trying to figure out how the layer is going to go. Figuring it out, and I'm having a blonde moment. So I finally figured it out. It was the long part to go on the long part of the petals. There are layering guides available.
It was at this moment that she knew. She up.
Yes, as you can see, that's where I realized I had messed it up. So, I was raging at it because I couldn't turn it. So it defeated the whole purpose. I had to peel it off. Now I'm using the mid yellow to stamp down, and again, get it in place. And as I'm pressing down, when I do replace the top plate into the stamp wheel, I align and make sure that the top and bottom left and right corners are in snug, and then press it down with my hand. So I was happy with that one, giving it a quick wipe, and it just takes water to wipe the ink off. So here you can see I'm referencing the layering guide. I'm pressing it all down, and I'm going to use the coral red. So the design that I was casing was a rose design, and it was done with some watercoloring on watercolor paper, and I wanted to make this card for a work colleague who's had a bit of a rough trot at the moment. So just to say, hey, thinking of you, sending you a smile. This is me recognizing my pretties are jewels, not tools, and find something to help lift the cardstock off the photopolymer mat, because it does stick well, and that's the whole point of it. It does its job beautifully. So I've just got my distress sprayer filled with water, cleaned it down with a microfiber cloth, and going through, and now I have to replace the stamp. If I had the corner positioner for the stamp wheel, which Altenew has made, and it has different corner positioners for different size cardstock panels, I could have had my card in the right place, my front cardstock panel. But this just means I have to go and do a bit more online shopping from one of my favourite crafty stores, find out whichever one I can get it from. So I'm going to repeat the process for the second flower, layer it up in the corner, and do the layering colours to go with it. So doing this process tonight, I learnt some things about not only my stamp wheel but also my videoing, and I would love feedback. So what I've learnt with my stamp wheel is set it up as recommended with the enamel dot on the wheel, so that you know which side are the rigid side, because if you feel it, there are etched lines into one side, so that you know that, and also so that you know where the top of the wheel is if you take your stamp wheel outside of your project spot. The second thing I learned is that one video I watched, I can't remember who it was, actually talked about storage of the stamp wheel, and that includes as you're using it. So that I had times as I was using the stamp wheel, what to do with my top flower petal plate thing. So I bumped my camera a couple of times, I stuck it off to the side. So having a clean workspace when you're using your stamp wheel, so that you can actually put it back in the right spot, makes it easier to use. So when it came to my videoing, I actually discovered the cinematic mode on my iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is what I film all my videos with. So let me know what you think of the videoing. As I'm doing this edit and the voiceover, I'm watching and finding that I do love the quality, not a huge fan of the flicking in and out of focus often. So that will probably take a little bit more practice for me to learn what I'm doing with it. But obviously, let me know in the comments what you like. But I must say, using the stamp wheel, I am loving it. I was using it last night with my stencils, and they stuck like glue, and it was a lot of fun to use with stencils. So I'm just in the process of learning how to use my equipment a little bit more, but I really wanted to play tonight, and this card has been calling all afternoon basically. where I'm at the moment in terms of this card is I've just about finished the 2 flowers in the corners, in the opposite corners, and I'm going to now figure out what I'm going to be doing for my sentiment. I just discovered a mark on my panel and raging at that mark. You know, when you just get that little smudge of ink and then you touch your project and you smear it. Ugh. Just showing here how easy not only the photopolymer mat is to clean, but also the flower petal top. That was just my dirty microfiber towel and a spray of water. So the sentiment is actually coming from the Craft Your Life project kit, the fragrant florals, and just putting felt like putting a smile on your face on the outside, and then the little inside, I'm here if you need me. So just going through and trying to figure out, where do I want to pop this sentiment? I've got 2 white open corners. Do I want to put it in the middle of the sentiment or up the top? The original card that I cased actually has a sentiment linking the 2 flowers. So I decided to cut down my panel using my Waffle Flower A2 rectangular layering dies. So just popping that through my die cut machine here. And yeah, so popping it all through. Now this card from start to finish took me maybe 40 minutes to make all up. And that was in between a couple of interruptions and the raging. So I've decided to use some glossy accents on my flowers and decided to pull out some dots, enamel, some pearls. So I decided I like those yellow pearls, and they're the spring pearls from honeybee stamps. So just going through and again just figuring it out. So I'm lining up my cardstock with the grid on the photopolymer mat, and this is the protector grid, protector acetate sheet for the photopolymer mat. But I figure, you know, handy having a grid line, so I may as well use it. So just place that down, and Bob's your Auntie, you have a nice straight sentiment. So from here the footage actually cuts off, so you don't get to see me stick down my honeybee pearls. So I would just like to take this opportunity to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any feedback around the video quality, please let me know. I appreciate your time, and yeah, see you on the next video. Thanks, bye.